Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of August. I hope you are. Using the Tarot of the Abyss for you today. A couple of things. If this reading resonates with you, there will be an extended at the end. The link will be down in the description box. It'll be the top link. And I've also completed the 6-month overview for each of the signs. The second link is to that one. There is over 30 hours. There are over 30 hours of reading material there between the 12 signs. So it's quite comprehensive and obviously runs from now until December. So if you're interested in that, like I said, that's the second link. So let's get 3 cards for you, Cancer. 3 cards for August, please. There's the first one. We have the 4 of Pentacles. Let's have a look at current energy. Cancer. Goodness. We have the Wise One. That's the Hierophant in a standard deck there. And one more was coming towards Cancer friends in August. Ooh, Temperance. I like that for you very much. I like also the gradation from 4 of Pentacles energy through to Major Arcana coming up. We've got the 8 of Cups at the bottom of the deck there, and I think I actually think that's really rather beautiful, given that we've got that 4 of Pentacles there. Let's see, right, let's get some clarifiers and get on with this. Cauldron's running away with itself today. Right, so I've got the 4 of Pentacles, please. Pentacles, thank you. We have the Queen of Cups. It's Cancer energy right there. 4 of Pentacles. Thank you. And we have the Hanged Man there. The very first thing that I heard was that it's not a loss. Like that which you need to let go of, it's not actually a sacrifice. Let's get some more clarifiers. The Hierophant, we have the 3 of Wands. I like that. Thank you. And the Knight of Pentacles. I like that. Thank you. We have the Moon, which is the other card of Cancer, and the 5 of Pentacles. And I actually like the fact that that's there, so don't get concerned about that. We have the Devil at the bottom of the deck there, but it's followed by Death and the Empress, and I really like this. This is good. This is very, very good. So we start with this 4 of Pentacles, right? And you can see from the image there, it is that energy of holding on to something really, really tightly. Now, often it's that need to hold on to a thing or a person or a situation because we feel like it's really important that it stays with us, you know, and if it goes away, then we have lost something and our lives will be, you know, negatively affected by this loss. But he's already sitting on 10 Pentacles. He's got his feet atop 2 more. He's clutching this one in his hands, and there's one that looks like it's kind of dropping from behind him because he's trying to hold on to too many things. And so this card often then speaks to the need to release something, right? Now, this has shown up in your recent past, and this is the reason why I really, really like this combination of cards for you, because the Hanged Man is about a change in perspective, like a big change in perspective. Putting yourself upside down and into an uncomfortable position so that you can achieve wisdom, right? It's based loosely on the legend of Odin, right? Hanging himself upside down from the tree of knowledge for 9 days to see the world from a different perspective. And it seems to me like this is what you've achieved here, because just as came through right at the beginning there, those things that you've been clinging hardest to, actually benefit you in no way whatsoever. You know, there's a lot of growth that's occurred for you, Cancer, in recent times, and I'm going back like the last few months. Like, you've been growing and changing and evolving, and it seems like certainly recently you've realized that you've been putting a lot of effort into trying to keep hold of things that were either not for your highest good, in whatever way that occurs, or just the act of holding on in the first place. You know, because sometimes we can hold on to things and we can say, oh, it's because of this reason or that reason or whatever. But what we don't see is that we do that with a lot of things, you know, and it's less about the things that we're trying to hold on to and the mere fact of holding in the first place. You know, the Four of Pentacles, for me, it has fear underlying it. Like, there's devil energy that sits behind the Four of Pentacles there, because the feeling is if you let go of this thing, then that's it, it's gone. It does not return to you in any kind of meaningful fashion, except that that's how you clog up energy, that's how you block energy. You know, it needs to move in and move out, and we see that here, you know. And it seems like there's been a realization by you in the recent past, which is that this is the exact thing that's happening. You know, it's this tethered, trapped, I must hold on to this. It's really, really important. But I think that you're getting to the roots of why you hold on to people, why you hold on to things, and how it is that act of holding rather than that which you choose to hold on to that is causing the issue for you. Because we have the Death card there, which indicates transformation and also ends and beginnings and things like that. And the two are kind of one and the same, really, for me. But this is a block to this, and this is abundance, right? True abundance in the proper sense that it's meant. Not this, not where we're clinging to something and trying to hoard it, trying to keep it for ourselves because everything's going to fall apart if we don't have this thing. It's an understanding that in order to have new abundant things come in, you need to clear some space, and what's being cleared is this. And so, instead of focusing on the devil, instead of focusing on the pentacles, focusing on this Ace of Cups instead, like your relationship to yourself, your understanding of yourself, the reasons why you hold on to things rather than the things themselves. It feels like it's brought new insight to you. And part of that is understanding that that which you are trying to hold on to would not be a loss to you, not in the truest sense, if it was allowed to leave. You know? Reminded of that saying a Scottish friend of mine told me that her grandmother always used to say, which was, you know, what's for you won't go by you. If it's for you, you don't need to cling to it. And clinging in any sense to anything is an offering away of your power, Cancer. Right? And I think that you understand this, and this is kind of the point. So it's about taking that energy of holding on really tight to something and bringing it back to yourself. I'm going, it's okay if things come in and out of my life. It is okay if people come in and out of my life, because I am comfortable. I am me. I am abundant. And I am enough. You know? So we move to your present energy, and I love it because it feels to me like a really natural step up from where you were here to the energy that you're sitting in now. And this feels a lot like an acknowledgement of the wisdom that you have now from the life experiences that you've experienced. Right? I talk about this an awful lot and say, you know, changing the perspective on your past, on your history, on the story that made you who you are and where you got to where you were, can change in an instant the way that you perceive your reality in the present. And so rather than being solitary and clinging to this energy here, we have something that's much more free flowing. You know, there's a campfire warming several people here, but there is wisdom being imparted. It's also the teacher card, you know. And we get a definite sense of this person here imparting wisdom to others. It feels like you've really had your eyes opened recently, Cancer. And it's not just you that benefits from it, it is others too. And at this point, because the Hierophant also, well, the Hierophant generally talks about that which is established, right? And in some ways I see that as quite a restrictive energy, because it's like that which has always been and always will be, because nobody changes it. You know, the way that you know, religious ceremonies nowadays are kind of a triumph of style over substance, and in some ways the ritualistic aspects of what is practiced, right, are adhered to so closely that actually that they miss the point, perhaps deliberately, the whole point of the religion in the first place, right? Now it's all about who's got the biggest hat and things like that, you know. It's about causing a separation between those universal and maybe even religious truths that should be accessed by everyone and capable of being accessed to everyone, and introducing like a hierarchical kind of situation with it. Like this, whilst there is someone in the middle who is clearly the one who holds all of the knowledge, he is not set above the other people in the room, like he's on a level with them. And it feels like there's a relationship that you are developing with people around you now, where they both see the ways in which you have changed, but also the ways in which you have grown and become very wise in a very short period of time. And all of that has come from perspective shift, seeing things differently, bringing things back to yourself instead of outsourcing things all of the time. So we've got this three of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles under here. Now this is Virgo energy, but it's a very grounded approach to the way that you are changing your behaviours. It's rooted in the here and now, and it's rooted in the very, very obvious, I think. You know, there's something about the cups that can often be a little bit etheric, and possibly quite subjective too. You know, and that's the place that you occupy quite often. But with this Hierophant card here and this Knight of Pentacles, it's rooted in the material. It's rooted in the here and now. So maybe it is that you have been going through your material existence and going, okay, I work too hard at this, I'm going to do this a little bit. You know, maybe you've been chopping and changing your work a little bit to bring it down to a manageable level. Maybe that which you were clinging on to a little hard was something of a material nature, you know. Maybe, yeah, I feel like a lot of you were working too hard and you realise that you're working too hard. And so, being as this indicates to me changed behaviour, particularly in the last few weeks, it's been really screaming that, and it's come up for almost every sign, Cancer. I have to tell you that there are a lot of changes going on here. It's like, rather than trying to hold all of those pentacles at once and getting nothing from them, really, at the end of the day, really not actually getting any kind of joy, any kind of sense of stability from any of these things, because it's all underpinned by fear and I need to keep the status quo. Oh, thank you. As it was. Now there's just one pentacle, the important pentacle. And this could be indicative of an increase in your sense of self-worth, an increase in your confidence, a change in perspective that has allowed you to see what is actually important rather than what a little while ago you thought was important. But the ways in which you are changing your behaviour, the directions that you are heading, so you're not going fast, it's not dramatic, but these are the kind of changes that will stick, Cancer, and that's more important than anything, right? It is better to be consistent and do little bits when you can than, you know, it's like brushing your teeth or meditation or any kind of fitness training or anything like that, right? It's better to be consistent and get yourself into a pattern where these changes will then become part of your natural, you know, schedule, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, rather than trying to cram 4 or 5 hours in at the end of the month and you're doing it out of a sense of guilt because you haven't done it for the weeks before, you know. It's a really positive indication that you have not only started to pull some really profound truths out of your experience, really profound wisdom out of your experience, but more, it is literally changing reality in front of you because you are feeling empowered to make these small changes, these steady changes, these consistent changes, changes that you stick to consistently in order to bring about a better life for yourself. And I do feel like there's a better life for yourself. That is the motivation here, because it's all about this. It kind of pivots around this as opposed to pivoting around this. You know, we've got to change from restriction to abundance. And is that maybe it's just not a perspective thing? Possibly. Is it a way that you're changing your life? Are you working a little less, working a little smarter now? Are you spending more time? Are you giving yourself some time? Are you actually practicing good self-care without kind of cringing from it and feeling like it's a bit of a cringe notion altogether? You know, I feel like you are. And I'm really, really pleased to see it, Cancer. Now, what we've got coming towards you in August is interesting. We've got this Sagittarius card of Temperance here, and I really, really like this because it is literally about temperance, right? It's about moderation, it's about balance, it's about equilibrium, but it is also, most importantly, about healing. And there has been lots of healing that has needed to happen for you. We've got these two cups here, as we usually see in the Temperance card. And for all, there's always water on the Temperance card. There's always water depicted on the Temperance card. Because it's Sagittarius, it is fire. And so it comes to indicate that kind of alchemical transformation. Right? Now, fire is all about living. It's all about experience. It is also a lot about the here and now. And water has a timelessness almost to it. You know, those things that affect us on an emotional level cut straight into the subconscious, and the subconscious is not mathematically literate, right? It's not. And because of that, it has no concept of time, right? And that's how, for me, water feels like it's got a timeless quality. When you remember something that really, really affected you, often it is the emotions of the thing that come up that sear every single detail of that into you. And it feels like you're transmuting that into something very, very different. Healing, for sure. But again, there's this notion of rooting and bringing all of the elements to bear, actually, because although we've got the cups here, we do have flames coming out of the tops of the cups. So we've got fire and water there. But the cups are also rooted, which is really intriguing. And so we have a nod to earth there. And then at the top, okay, behind her here, it looks like the wind is blowing in her hair. So we have air there too. It's bringing in all of the elements to this healing process for you. Now, we have the moon underneath there, and that often deals with the things that are hidden. It is also the card of Cancer, so we've got you making a very strong appearance. And I'm here for this all day long, Cancer, because it's not often that you really slap yourself on a reading, but you're doing it here now. And I like that. It's a really authentic expression of your energy, and it shows me that you are showing up for yourself in a way that you haven't done historically. These are the things that are hidden, and what is hidden is this Five of Pentacles. Now, we know what this card means. It's all about not meeting your own basic needs. It's poverty or a fear of poverty, and that can be in mindset or in actual pentacles. But then again, because I see pentacles as energetic currency, we're not necessarily talking about money. Sometimes we can talk about time and care and effort and love, and anything that you can invest becomes a pentacle. And so this is here. something rising to the surface, a way that you have not seen, that you were not meeting your own basic needs, and it's rising in August to be healed. Right? Now, this could come by way, and this, I'll get into this in the extended, this could come by way of some sort of catalyzing event, right? Something kind of happening. Or it could come because of the amount of work that you've done so far. You know, I was saying that the work is never done, and that is absolutely fact, concrete fact. It is never done. And situations are never fully expended in terms of the wisdom that they can provide for you. So it doesn't matter how much work you do, you will always come back to an old situation and be able to pull out more from it. Now, it seems to me like what you have done so far has cleared a certain path, right? And now there's a sort of ease in you being able to come to and from this. And you're like, I see now that, and I know I say it every time, right? But I've yet to meet a Cancer who did not have some sort of appalling mother. No, and this is just in real life. I know quite a few Cancers, and every single one of them has either had a narcissistic mother, an abusive mother, a drug addict mother, something like that, right? It's in the background there somewhere, but it always comes to a thing. So you can say, right, yes, I acknowledge that I have this experience. I also then further acknowledge that as a result of that experience, my child brain formed coping mechanisms, and it made me somewhat of a people pleaser, for example, or it taught me that I have to work really, really hard for other people's affection, right? That is not something that comes naturally to me on account of my being human and being a child or anything like that. No. All affection, all attention must be worked for really, really hard. My opinion doesn't matter, right? My feelings don't matter. It's all about this parent, and it's usually a mother, to be honest, right? Their needs trump everything, and I'm not allowed to have feelings about it. I must always be trying to make this parent feel better. And this has led to certain patterns that I have got into over the course of my life, where I have almost well, subconsciously, but almost deliberately sought out people with whom, you know, who behave in a certain way that I recognize. I am drawn to those people, and they have, you know, helped me perpetuate this cycle that I've been in for such a long time, right? Those are all kind of big facts. And I think when you start on the road down towards this kind of work, right, the first initial revelations that you have tend to be the strongest. They're the ones that kind of blow your mind apart, and you're like, holy shit, I just don't know what to do with all of this information, you know. And then bit by bit you work through it, and you're like, wow, this is massive. It explains so much about myself. It explains to me why, you know, I haven't been able to do this, or why I do this too much, you know. And then we start to change, and that's all good. The kind of insight that comes subsequently is no less dramatic, but is usually more subtle. It's usually more nuanced, and that's just like, you know, as your emotional understanding, your emotional comprehension develops, as the insight that you have towards yourself develops and evolves and grows, so you can pull out this higher level of wisdom that comes from it, you know. And it may be so discreet, it may be so subtle that other people wouldn't see it, but it can change your life in equally strong ways. And the reason that I'm rambling on about this is because it feels to me like everything that you've done up until this point is leading you into August having some sort of major realization of something that runs very, very deep and very, very low level, almost undetectable by your conscious mind radar, you know. Kind of sitting with it and allowing it to come up. Now, it's coming up in August specifically for the point of healing it, right? So we know that it's going from the subconscious here up into your conscious mind, because it's difficult to heal something in your subconscious if you don't apply your conscious brain to it in some way or another, you know, even just in the acknowledging that it exists. it doesn't feel to me like what's going on here is going to be some sort of big dramatic hoo-ha and that sort of thing. It feels discreet, it feels nuanced, it feels like a thing that you spot that you didn't see before. Because I can't tell you the number of times, particularly in the last 6 months, where I've been kind of broadsided by something that I thought that wasn't an issue, and suddenly I see that it's an issue. I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head who I spoke to, which sign it was that I was speaking to this, but I actually enrolled in a course that the Psychedelic Society were running about self-exploration. Simply because I have always done this kind of work by myself. It's always been intuitive and it's always been self-led, and I was doing it before I even knew that shadow work or, you know, inner child stuff, all this sort of thing, before I even knew that these were things that people went off and did and that they had names and stuff like that. I thought it would be interesting to see how somebody who was, you know, professional would guide you. You know, and I was intrigued to see if there were any kind of further realizations that I could have about myself. And so one of the first exercises, wasn't quite the first, was to sit and write down a list of facts about ourselves, like ways in which, you know, we could be identified, labels, if you will. Well, I'll pull up my piece of paper here. Okay. So I've got a whole page here, you can't see it because it's in pencil, right? Whole list of the ways in which you could identify me. And there were things like I'm a mother, single parent, I'm English, you know, I'm female, obviously, I'm a tarot reader, I'm a Leo, I'm a divorcee, you know, I'm a law graduate, kickboxing instructor, all of these kind of things. And one of the words that I wrote was introvert down there. Very comfortable with that, that's fine. And then we went off into breakout rooms with pairs of us, you know, and I ended up being paired up with the tutor. And he said, right, let's pick one and let's explore that. And I said, okay. So I just picked introvert because that seemed, you know, pretty intrinsic part of my personality. And within about 46 seconds, he had me with my mouth wide open, mind absolutely fucking exploding. And he'd only asked me 2 questions. The first one was, is that true? And I was like, yeah, that's pretty bang on true. Then he asked, has that always been true? And my mind stuttered. It literally halted, and then it exploded, because the answer is it was not. And the reason why my mind was exploding was not because I hadn't always been an introvert, but the reasons why I was an introvert, how that had become a coping mechanism for me, and further still, mine's pinging at 1,000,000 miles an hour while I'm doing this, the fact that I resented it while still using it like a warm, cozy blanket, you know, so it feels like something warm that I can wrap around me, and that's comfortable to me. I'm comfortable being an introvert. I like it. It feels safe to me. But by the same token, I never used to be an introvert. That was a way of not drawing attention to myself. It was something that I realised very, very young. If my head was in a book, then more often than not, I would be left alone. You know, I was taught that mixing with people was inherently threatening, because at some point this was going to go wrong and something fucking awful was going to happen, you know? And that was a huge revelation for me. And I was like, no, I've got all of this resentment. What do I do with it? I don't understand. I don't want to stop being an introvert because I like it, because it's warm and it's safe and it's secure. And the absolute God's honest truth is that I still haven't quite worked out what I'm going to do with that information, but I have seen it now. And that's the important thing. Interestingly too, my North Node is in Leo, and so perhaps this is something where this needs a little bit of work, right? And being pointed towards it. But in years of doing my own work, it only took 2 questions from the right person and about 40 seconds for me to absolutely like. Now, that was the catalysing event for me. It wasn't some big dramatic, you know, hoo-ha. I didn't you know, have someone fucking me over, or you know, projecting horrible things on me, making me feel like shit. You know, it was just self-exploration. And it was comfortable, and it showed me this here. And this is why I'm sharing this with you, because it feels like this. So it could be coming by way of a conversation, you know, and like I said, we'll get into this in the extended. But it doesn't feel dangerous, and it doesn't feel threatening. It feels like an aha moment to me, Cancer. And one that will bring healing to you, just in the acknowledgement of it, just in the seeing of it. Right? And this is big work. This is deep work. So I'm super proud of you for getting into it anyway. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go over to Vimeo because I kind of want to pull this apart a little bit more and see what this is about. So if you're interested in that, link is in the description box. If not, no shade. Know that I love you all very, very much. And August will be good. You know, August is really building on this energy that you're rocking at the moment, Cancer. So don't be worried about it. Really don't. Just accept everything as it comes in. Be the water of water as you are, right? Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.